How's it going, guys? Jake from Boatman UK here. In today's video I thought I'd go for an unboxing and user guide on one of our Boatman Actor MK4i Sonar bait boats. Now, it's not going to be a full-blown user guide. I'm not going to be putting the thing in the water and show you every single individual key detail. I've done a variety of different videos on that, which you can find on the channel as well. This is more so a what the boat can do, what's included with the boat, and then some maintenance and bits and tips as well. So let's get this thing unboxed. Okay, let's get this thing unboxed so we can see what exactly is included. Now, first things first, the main thing itself, which is the boat itself, of course. Now, with the boat itself, before you go hunting further, the battery for the boat is already inside the boat. It's actually secured in place with a cable tie, just to prevent it from rattling around whilst it's in transit. Otherwise, of course, it can do all sorts of damage. So don't go looking for that. Your battery's already underneath this lid, ready to go. So we'll place that to the side for the moment, and we'll go for everything else. We have a little white box here. This contains our mains charger to charge the battery for the boat itself. We have two USB-C leads, so one for charging the remote, one for charging the sonar screen. We have our aerial for the boat, which just simply screws on the top like so. We also have a microfiber towel to give the boat a wipe down and a clean up. The sonar screen itself. We also have the sonar screen aerial. Oops. We have a little bag that's got a Allen key and a hexagonal head socket. So this is used for tightening your props, for example. We have the remote. And lastly, we have a little bag with some spare props and a spare rear hopper latch, just in case you damage anything. And we also do have two user manuals as well. Now, we've got one user manual for the boat itself, and we've got one user manual for the sonar screen. Now, the sonar screen one I would recommend definitely reading through. I know we don't generally tend to read through manuals, but the sonar screen one is definitely worth reading, especially as this guide that I'm giving you is a brief guide. It's just basically showing you what the boat can do, but for actual full information on the sonar, if you do decide to order, refer to this, or alternatively, as I mentioned a moment ago, we've got plenty of videos covering that as well. Now, first things first with the sonar bait boats is the aerials. You've got two of them. Your larger one screws onto the boat itself. Now, with regards to tightening them up, they don't need to be ridiculously tight. That's quite a common issue. People can often over-tighten them and strip the threads or do other further damage to the aerial itself. All you need to do is just do it up finger tight. You feel it start to get some resistance and a little nip up. That's plenty, that's enough. That's going to make a good contact, and it's certainly not going to fall off the boat either. And of course, the same applies for your sonar screen as well. Just a little nip up is plenty. You don't need to go too crazy. Again, you don't want to damage any aerials. Now, before you go ahead and use the boat, you're going to want to make sure that everything's all charged up. So that will be your battery itself for the boat, the one in the remote, and the sonar screen. So in terms of charging, obviously your boat battery itself has to be removed from the boat. You can't charge it inside the boat, so first things first, remove your battery. With regards to charging, usually a full charge, if it's completely flat, is going to take you around 10 hours. So the batteries that are in these boats are a 10 amp battery, and we usually say it takes average of 1 hour per amp. So if it's fully flat, 10 hours, which more often than not, it's not going to be fully flat. It's going to be, say, 50%. So it's going to take you around 5 hours to get it fully charged. Now, you can test the boat as it arrives. It's going to have some charge in it. For a little session, probably okay, but I would recommend if you're going to go out and use it properly, give everything a good charge. Now, your charger that's supplied with the boat itself, or for the actual battery for the boat itself, has an LED indicator on it. Now, the LED indicator will glow red whilst it's charging, and it will go green once it's fully charged. My best piece of advice with regards to battery maintenance and battery life and prolonging how long it lasts is to make sure that you don't overcharge the battery. So once that LED indicator goes green, you want to try and pull it off charge as soon as possible. A couple of hours here and there ain't going to really hurt it, that's fine. It's more so if you're leaving it over a weekend or even longer than that. I know some of us have garages or sheds and we just put things on charge and leave them be. That's often how you're going to damage this type of battery. So once it goes charged, again, a couple hours here and there is not a problem, but just try and remove it as soon as you can off charge. One thing that is also included that I forgot to mention in the unboxing just a moment ago is a charging plug for both your sonar screen and your remote. You do only get one of them, but you have to use that charging plug to charge these. The reason being is that charging plug is rated for the exact specific voltage and amperage to charge both of these. Not all plugs obviously supply the same amount of power and they can't self-regulate, so you can overcharge these. So make sure you use the charging plug supplied. The charging wire isn't quite as important. You do obviously get 2 of them, of course, but as long as it's a USB-C charging wire, that will be fine. Your remote itself, generally speaking, usually takes on an average around 3 to 4 hours to fully charge, so not too long at all by comparison to the actual battery in the boat. And you normally, from a full charge, you'll get anywhere from about 6 to 8 hours of a full charge of the remote itself. The remote itself is really easy to read as well. You've got an LED indicator on the actual remote that will tell you the status of the charge, same as the boat battery. If it's glowing red, that means it's charging, and if it's glowing green, that means it's fully charged. And of course, your same rules apply. Try and pull him off charge as soon as possible, just to prevent you from damaging the battery. With regards to checking the status of your charge on both of these things, on the lid itself for the boat, you've got an LED indicator that will tell you the the battery life. You've got 10%, 30%, 50%, 80%, and 100%. Now this is accurate, but you really want to be monitoring this when it's under load. When the boat's stationary, that's one thing, but when you power it up, that battery indicator is probably going to drop a little bit more than you anticipate. So what I'd recommend, if you're concerned about how much battery you've got in the boat itself, bring it into the margins, sail it past, and see if you can keep an eye on the actual indicator on the lid, and that will do you a world of favours. If the battery runs really low, the boat itself will start telling you. It will start flashing the headlight, and it will also slow down as well quite significantly. But you can physically run it flat, and obviously we don't want to do that because then you end up in a situation where your boat's stranded and it isn't fun. As for your remote itself, there is a beep indication that tells you the status of the charge. So I'm just going to power this remote up now and you'll hear it beep. So that was 4 beeps as I powered it up. So each beep represents 25% of charge. So this this remote rather, is around 100% charge, let's say. I'm not too concerned about this. I'd be more than happy to go out and use this. If you want to know how much charge you've got without having to power it up and back off or off and on again, you simply single press the power button like so, and it will beep and it will tell you again. So that's how you can tell your status of charge. As I mentioned, each beep refers to 25%. If it's beeping once, highly recommend to get it on charge, of course. I'm going to power this back off now. And when you power it off, it'll do one long beep to let you know that it's turned off. Your sonar screen, which I'll show on the display in a moment, so I'll get that on the camera in a moment, has an LED display on it that will show you the battery life itself. So that's really easy to read. Now, on this, you don't get quite as much battery life. You're going to get around 1 hour. But of course, with regards to the sonar screen, you're probably not going to be leaving it on all the time whilst you're using the boat, because you're going to sort of figure out your spots, find, your drop-offs or whatever you're looking for, and then you're probably going to likely turn it off, because it's not often that you're going to be sort of loading your rig in and sonar and doing it all at the same time. With this, again, USB-C port, really easy. LED indicator goes blue on the bottom, and once it's fully charged, the LED indicator actually goes out on this. But it also has a charging status on the screen itself, and again, same as before, same rules apply. Try not to overcharge it. Another piece of advice with regards to battery maintenance whilst we're on the subject, obviously one thing that I've mentioned already, which is the worst that you can do, which is overcharging everything, which makes the battery life go lazy, is storing everything half charged. So for example, a lot of us pack away for winter and store the boats, that's fine. But if you're going to do that, make sure everything's fully charged before you store them. If you're storing it with half charge or part charge, expect it's going to drain, like a car battery. If you're storing your car battery is going to go flat. And the same rules apply to these. And obviously, if you risk leaving them flat for so long, again, they can be very hard to recover. So one thing, as I say, don't leave them on charge all the time. And also, if you're going to store it, make sure it's fully charged before you put it away. Now, the remote itself is really easy to use. There's only a handful of buttons. Of course, naturally, the joystick itself controls the boat. That's self-explanatory. This button here on the left-hand side, this is your centre hopper button. The one in the middle, the sort of anchor or hook looking one, has a multifunction. So if you press and hold it, that's for calibrating the compass. Calibrating the compass I won't go into great detail of because it's already in the description of the boats themselves, and there's also a separate video on that. I don't want to make this video too long. A single press of this button, however, will also control your speed settings. So you've got 2 different speed settings, and you single press it to switch between both speeds. Now, the slower speed setting does work very nicely for sonar. Of course, technically speaking, the slower you go in, the more accurate the reading is going to be. But you can use it in the faster speed setting just fine as well. This one on the right-hand side, this is for your rear hopper. These two with the arrows, or this one with the arrows, the 2 arrows rather, is for yaw adjustment or trim adjustment, which is for adjusting the drive to each motor. You shouldn't really need to worry about that too much, but if you're finding that the boat is yawing or trimming to one side, you press and hold this and use the joystick to input and correct that. This is the headlight button. This is also a multi-function button, so a single press will operate the headlight, turn it on and off. And if you ever need a new remote and you've ordered a new remote and you need to pair it, you press and hold this button and that will go into pairing mode. And then of course lastly we've got the power button, which we've covered. Press and hold to power on and off, and a single press will tell you your battery life whilst the remote is on. Of course we have the sonar screen itself, very basic and very easy to use. We've got simply 3 buttons, main thing being the power button, which will power this thing on now. And you'll see, hopefully, if I don't get too much glare, you can see the screen powering up. Now on the screen itself, we've got a number of different readings. Now, obviously, we've got no sonar display at the moment because the boat isn't on, and I've already covered a variety of videos on that, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on this side. Here we have our depth reading. Below that, we have our water temperature. We have our battery life just there. And then these numbers here, you've got the number 3 at 125 kilohertz. Just refer to information for us. So that's the channel it's paired to and the actual hertz it's reading. You don't need to worry about that. That's more so if it ever needs to come into us. And normally on this display here is what you'd be reading for your actual depths and also what you're seeing beneath. And that's where you're looking for on your sonar for your drop-offs, your gravel bars, etc, etc. We have a menu, which is really easy to operate by using the tick button. And again, I'm going to quickly gloss over this. I don't want to go into too great a detail, but you have a variety of things that you can adjust. If you do want to adjust one of those things, you simply press the tick button. So for example, the volume on this right now is low, so the beeper. If I want to increase that, I'm going to press the tick. It will highlight red, and you use these 2 buttons to perform your changes. So the downward arrow is to go up, as confusing as that seems, and the power button is to go down. So we're going to set that back to low. And once you're happy with your setting, you press the tick button again, and that goes back to the menu where you can then go back through all this endlessly. And if you want to get off the menu, just simply press and hold the tick button and that will return you back to the menu. Really nice and simple and easy to use. The Activate boats have 2 hoppers. You've got 1 central hopper and 1 rear hopper. Now, in most cases, you'd usually load the rig through the underside and go through the central hopper, but you can alternatively go through the rear hopper, and there is a line gap that you can use nicely as well. Your centre hopper is going to be able to take 1 kilo of capacity, and your rear is going to take half a kilo, so 500 grams. Really simple design. Single press of the centre hopper will release the trapdoor, and a single press of the rear hopper button will open the latch and swing the door open. Now both of these are manual to close, so if you press the button again it will just actuate the arms but won't do anything. So that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to cover in this video. As I mentioned at the beginning, just a short little guide and an unboxing, because I know if you guys are like me, which I know probably most of you are, you like to watch a little cheeky video to see an unboxing if there's something you're interested in. I'm often on YouTube having a browse, figuring it out, seeing what it comes with, seeing what to expect, you know. So I've got something to look forward to and I know I'm buying the right product. Now, as I mentioned, again, if you want a full video guide, if you go through our other videos, I've done a variety of those. This may not necessarily be the boat for you. You might want a different model that has GPS, for example, instead. You might not even want an Activate boat. You might not even want a Boatman bait boat, and that's fine. But it's just more so to give you guys an idea of what to expect with this particular model. The sonar is fantastic. One of the beauties of the sonar with our boats in particular is it's built into the boat itself. Someone like a towable sonar like a Deeper, for example, what you see on the screen is live data, and that's something quite important to remember, because if you're fishing quite a fine margin or a fine drop off or something like that, you know, it can get quite confusing with what you're actually seeing, because as I mentioned, if you're towing, it's not actually where you think it is on the reading of the screen. And it is really quite handy, especially if you're fishing somewhere quite challenging, that's really weedy, for example. You're getting snagged up, having a nightmare, you can find a hole in the weed, drop your rig off, and hopefully get some results. That's what we're here for. So hopefully this video helps. If there's anything I've missed, if there's any further questions you've got, feel free to ask below, and I will try and help if I can. Thank you for watching, and take care.